Baconsthorpe Castle is a fortified manor house, now in ruin, to the north of the village of Baconsthorpe in Norfolk, England. It has been designated by English Heritage as a Grade 1 listed building and is a scheduled ancient monument. The house was built by a family called the Haydens. They were an ambitious family and first made their fortunes through the law profession and subsequently from wool. John Haydon rose to prominence and influence as a supporter and ally of the first Duke of Suffolk, William de la Pole. During the turbulent War of the Roses from 1455 to 1485, John often switched his political allegiance to serve his own purposes. Although he managed to amass great wealth, he also made many enemies and was described by contemporaries as crafty and quarrelsome. His position meant he needed a secure base from which to operate. The castle was built from around 1460 to 1486 by John Haydon, who died in 1479, and Sir Henry Haydon, who died in 1504. It was built without a licence to fortify and initially consisted of a quadrangle manor house which was later fortified. It became increasingly large and more elaborate as the family's wealth grew. The east side contained a lake. The other three sides were protected by a deep ditch. A three-storied gatehouse was built in the middle of the south wall. It was an important symbol of John Haydon's lordship. This gatehouse was also large enough to serve as a self-contained, defendable residence in times of danger. The gatehouse had two lodges on the ground floor, one of which housed a porter, the other the chief servant. There was a spacious suite of chambers for Haydon's family on the first floor. There is a description of these rooms in the will of John Haydon's son, Sir Henry Haydon. They are described as being luxuriously furnished with feather beds and silk curtains. The small room directly above the porch was thought to be a private chapel. The quadrangle was completed with walls, towers and a range of buildings. A service range of buildings stood on the eastern side of the quadrangle. These buildings were converted in the Tudor period by Sir John Haydon II into a wool processing factory. The large windows in this building provided plenty of light for the spinners and weavers that worked there. Much of the cloth produced at Baconsthorpe was sold to the Netherlands. The coarse material was softened by the process of fulling. This involved the pounding of the cloth by foot in soapy water or stale urine. It is thought that this process was carried out in the tower that stands on the northeast corner of Quadrangle. A drawbridge crossed the moat at 46 metres or 50 yards to the south. An outer gatehouse was built. The outer gatehouse was a later addition to the moated residence beyond and was built to display the family's status and wealth. It formed an impressive entrance to the Haydens' property as part of the outer court. The court was flanked on the east side by a row of cottages. On the west flank was a long barn, parts of which are still in use today by the local farmer. The house was subject to the dispute in the 16th century when the owner, Sir William Hayden, who lived from 1540 to 1594, fell into debt and mortgaged it. He decided to sell part of his property in 1590, but was challenged by his son, Sir Christopher Hayden. Sir William then threatened to demolish the house, but Sir Christopher secured a prohibition order from the Privy Council and the house was spared. The house fell into ruin after the Civil War. The ruins are constructed of flint with some brick. The curtain walls are completed and include the remains of the tower, forming a square court of 30 metres or 98 feet 5 inches. The remains of the 3-storey gatehouse with 2-storey projection for the footbridge are in the middle of the south wall. The remains of the 2-storey range are along the east wall. The ruins are administered by English Heritage and are freely accessible to the public.